Thank you for highlighting the myriad technological applications of remote sensing in conjunction with other advanced technologies for various environmental, social, and economic sectors. Let us now invite on stage Mr. Jaychandran Mani, Project Director, Karnataka State Remote Sensing Application Center. Mr. Jaychandran holds a BE degree in Geoinformatics from Anna University and has completed his post-graduation in Digital Photogrammetry and GIS. He joined KSRSAC in 2016, responsible for the implementation of Karnataka GIS program, a mission to integrate all geospatial activities across the departments of Karnataka and a unified geospatial applications portal for various business activities.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for giving this opportunity to talk about the various remote sensing activities which Karnataka state government has taken up. And in this presentations, I will not go too much into the details of what already the previous speakers have explained, because all the stalwarts of the industry has explained about the national programs and how remote sensing is being used. I'm going to give a small perspective of what remote sensing and how it is being used in the state. And specifically, I will focus or develop on something more on areas where we have empowered citizens and the government staff on their day-to-day activities, how they are using remote sensing activities. And this slide or presentation is focused purely on remote sensing part only. I'm not focusing more on the location-based technologies or the geotagging or the GIS activities the center and the state is taking up, because of the theme in which this session is happening. So this is purely on the remote sensing part, where we, from a government of Karnataka perspective, we have classified the remote sensing activities into these 8 major classes. So be it is natural resources mapping, or it is for regional and local planning, or the periodical assessment of changes in terms using the remote sensing data, the suitability analysis and the zonations, or the disaster management support. And today we are also into the complete resurvey activities using remote sensing, using the drone and then high resolution aerial and satellite images. And we are also more onto our estimations and evaluation of the activities which is being going on the ground using remote sensing technologies, and how finally the day-to-day governance and the legal support which remote sensing is being used in the state. So this is what I would like to explain. And this is just a glimpse of the natural resources mapping, which the whole country and Karnataka is no difference, because every other state remote sensing centers, along with ISRO and Space Application Center, carried out the natural resources mapping, be it soil, land use, geology, geomorphology, or the various thematic maps, derived maps in terms of water, wetland, wastelands, or the forest water bodies likewise. And we also have started completing the work along with SAC for a mangrove mapping. And in the state of Karnataka, we have very high resolutions terrain of the complete state, which is around 2 meters contours. We have the complete state. And we also have for pockets of the areas with less than 1 meter resolutions, DEMs and contours are also is available. And majority of the data, I would like to say, that is already available on a public domain through the KGS. I'll brief it up the last. The major regional planning activities, what in terms of an agriculture, in terms of an urban, rural, and the forest. Planning activities, which I think most of the active has been already explained my even to the details, but a few glimpses of the day-to-day operations are identifications and the crop acreage estimations. In Karnataka, we have a unique wherein every plot, every crop, every season is through a physical means using a geotagged photographs validated using the cadastral maps. So that data is also now, as a research process, we are trying to use the data to identify the crops using various spatial data with the various remote sensing data available and also the crop acreage. And in terms of an urban, we do for the urban land use maps, we do for the GIS based master plan, because under Amrut, I think Director NRSA has explained that Amrut NRSA has given an SOP, but we are slowly going one that it's instead of just preparing a base map on a GIS platform, we are also trying to go for a master plan. And separately for a transport planning in terms of using remote sensing, especially for parking management. We use drones, we use high resolution satellite aerial data and satellite data for this. And various atlases have been prepared, which is being used as a booklet for quick and ready reference by the departments. And this is a regular periodical assessment. We do it on an every fortnight basis, every 2 to 3 weeks. We keep on doing the soil surface moisture stress assessment or the NDVI to know what is the vegetation conditions of the state. And we also do a periodical decadal changes of land use in the state. So this is just a glimpse of the data, which these are almost, it's not only in Karnataka, I think many other states is being used or they're continuously practicing this. So the next level of an activity, what we are also into the suitability studies, which are specific in terms of a groundwater potential zones. Earlier with NRSA, we have done it 1:50,000 scale. Now we are doing it 1:10,000. Further, even to an extent, we are going to map. We are actually capturing all the bore wells in a Grama Panchayat and then preparing a groundwater potential map, correlating that with the remote sensing inputs and making it available through a platform, a mobile application platform for the citizens, where they can know what is the in their cadastral form wise, what should be the estimated yield and depth of a groundwater, which they can expect approximately. So that is how we are now going towards taking it to an 1:10,000 and better scales up to 4,000 scale. And then flood hazard zonations in Karnataka using the DEM, what we have a 2-meter DEM. For all the river plains in Karnataka, we have made a flood zonation maps in terms of a 2-meter zone, 4-meter zone, 6-meter zone, and it has been validated and evaluated during the Krishna River floods 2 years before. And in terms of an industry, in Karnataka, we use remote sensing data to identify the open lands. It is not only the GIS perspective. We identify the open lands, correlate that with our land record system called Bhumi, which is spatially available to identify contiguous large areas also, because these are all being used by the department for identifying the areas where they can do land acquisitions, where there are government lands are available in plenty, and where the land use is not affecting the day-to-day agricultural process. So this is one area which regularly very often, almost like every 2 months or 3 months, whenever a major decision is being taken in the government, these kind of activities are being carried out, and there is a regular flow of remote sensing data coupled with the GIS inputs are being used for it. And when it comes to the forest, I'll say this is one unique case studies in forest, maybe I'll cover up later. We do sites for afforestations. It's not because we have a budget. Every time, every year, there is a budget is being announced. Okay, so many crores are going to be given for afforestations. But in the last 2 years, I think this year more specifically, this afforestation is happening using the remote sensing data, where we have identified the crop, forest cover. And then we identify the density of the forest, which is less than 40% has been identified. Of specific area more available is been identified. It is given to the range. These are the areas which you should focus, wherein they have to give the species also, what types of hectares they are going to plant it. So this is the governance decisions of being taken based on the range wise and circle wise only with the remote sensing and GIS inputs. And remote sensing plays a larger role here. And then tanks. We have the tank mappings, 30,000 plus tanks in the Karnatakas with the ownerships of the tanks, because there are various departments, be it rural development, be it Panchayat Raj, being the Zilla Panchayat departments, or with the urban development department, forest department. There are so many departments, including fisheries, are owning tanks and operating tanks. So with those ownerships, we used to map and monitor the water level on a month, every 3 weeks, to we identify the water level in terms of in tanks and identify how much is water can be used for irrigation and also for drinking water supply. This is a regular activity which periodically we use remote sensing data. Microwave data is being used from Sentinel in this. And we have a crop and land suitability analysis where the remote sensing data of natural resources coupled with GIS is being used. So this is the next one. So now I'll just go to few glimpses where some detailed studies have been taken. So where I'll say this is one such areas where forest cover mapping, which I was just now highlighting, that this is being done with a 50 centimeter resolution multispectral satellite data. So because generally everyone says forest, okay, it's good enough to have a 5 meter or 10 meter, but we have gone to 150 centimeter where we are also mapping every species. I will say that like this, and it is being validated on ground with more than 70 ground with the species level mapping, with the department taking it as a major forest cover, forest type, and forest density maps. And this is the range wise forest atlas is being prepared, and a web application with the forest assets and using it. I will also take you to some other slides. Forest fire, which we received award in this event yesterday, and for selecting that project, which will explain more. Here, this is what I was telling. Authority for the plantation is being done with this satellite data, and it is not one season data. It's not fuse it with 5.8 meter data. We fuse it with the 10 meter data together to find the our actual estimates of what is the forest type and density. When it comes to the disaster, the forest fire alerts, which is the first in the country, and it is the only place in the country where we give the forest fire alerts within 10 minutes maximum, I'll say. It's in 5 minutes, I wouldn't say. It goes to the range officer or the beat guard who is guarding that small area of the forest. So what is the difference between the alerts which FSI gives and to us? Because NRSA gives the forest fire alerts. The moment when the NRSA is giving the alerts, we are picking it up automatically. There is an automated system which is established in coordination with NRSA. We pick it up, identify and remove the agricultural fires, which NRSA is not doing, nor forest is not doing. We remove the agriculture with our precise boundaries, what we have had as part of the KGIS system. And the SMS has been created with the landmarks, with the directions, and how to navigate. There is no road network in a forest. So landmarks from the within the forest assets have been created, and SMS goes to the beat guard saying that in your forest, that location, which is 500 meters from that temple and 300 meters from this D line, you can see there is a forest fire happening. With the current or forecasted wind, temperature, pressure, weather parameters also. All together happens in just less than 5 minutes, and it goes to the SMS. And there is a call center guys calls the beat guard saying that there is a fire, please go and attend it, give the feedback back to us in the next day. Within 24 hours, the feedback has to come, and this has been monitored by the forest department exclusively. And it is a success. And for the last 3 years, it is happening. We are 4th year, we are continuing with this. And this has been awarded yesterday. And because of that, various incidents of forest fire, 3 years before we had a major forest fire, and we have never encountered such kind of a forest fire in the last 3 years. And this also has led to a next level of forest cover change alertness system. It is purely on remote sensing data, not only on this, because we have a reference period. We are using a FCDM model, and where we calculate, identify the tree cover change only in the forest areas, very specifically, not in everywhere, so that the information goes precisely to the person who has to identify, go to the ground, validate whether the reason for the change in the vegetation, back, sorry, you have to submit the data back to the server. So this is being monitored at the higher. And I also say there are FIRs also being lodged for irregular or illicit happened, because which has been identified by our systems here. And this is for disaster and landslide, which may happen 2 years before in Karnataka, where we could see that how you can say what is the pre-disaster site and post-disaster site. Since we have the cadastral map, we are able to superimpose the cadastral records, identify exactly the extent of damage to the survey number wise in the Kodagu districts of, and the claims were settled only with the areas what we had given, and it was validated. But they came to our office, Even though in spite of initial resistance, no, it is more, it is less. Everything at the end of the day happened only with this results and with the state government. Today, along with that, now in terms of an estimation and evaluations, we use satellite data and also a drone data for all the mines. Today, we are preparing an SOP for the complete Karnataka State Department. All the mines in the Karnataka has to go through this SOP process. Every mine owner has to use the drone for calculating and giving the volume of extractions of minerals which has happened. So this is being mandated in the state as through a GO, which KSRSAC is doing a SOP data pilot and preparing an SOP, which will be enforced and enforced. So this is one small example where we are using the drone data, and a classic example like comparative results. Because in 2014, how the terrain was. Because today the result was given, so the project was taken up today, but we have taken up all the data till 2000, whatever the stereo satellite images are available, all the stereo satellite images, and we are taking that as a reference data sets of the terrain has been created at that time. From that time till today, what is the volume of extraction has been carried out in the, and as per the legal records, how much they have claimed as extracted, what is the difference? So this is being calculated and computed and being shared to the department. This is given by the judiciary. So this is also a legal data. It is not no more just a planning or a one-time project. It is a legally mandated day-to-day operational activity which the center has taken it up. And in terms of a governance and legal support, so today we started with using the high resolution satellite data in terms of an high resolution. Sometimes before I used to say that 2.5 meter is the high resolution satellite data we had. We now, today we are even repositioning that with the drone data and the high resolution satellite data, images which the Karnataka state has taken up recently. And for the urban and the village settlement areas, we do the land parcel mapping using the satellite data for bringing them into the tax net, which is being done by the Karnataka State Department. And for the urban development area department, that means only for the town areas, already this is being tendered out, and the industries, I think some of the industry partners here also is working with that. Some work has been already started, some was in the process of initiating in the next phase. So that's being done. This is now taken to the next level in the highly dense urban areas. For like Bangalore, we are using drones. Already 40 watts of the data has been taken and completed. Mapping has been done using drone, and PR card, the legal property cards have been already started being issued by the Survey and Settlement and Land Records Department. So this again, yes, SSL KSRSAC is part of SSLR, and any special activities is the nodal agency and is always being part, and it is driving the systems synchronized working across the departments. The next slide, R&D initiative, due to the involvement of the judiciary, because the Honorable High Court of Karnataka has initiated, made the Forest Department to give, and also to the BBMP, Bangalore Mahanagar Palike, to give an estimate of the tree cover, which always there was an issues which is going on. I personally had a meeting with the Chief Justice of Karnataka. We explained about this. It has been validated to identify the tree covers using the high resolution satellite data plus the automated extraction of the tree cover using the models what we have developed using e-cognition software as well. So this is some of the examples which has been presented to the judiciary, validated by the department on ground, found that 90% of the data is matching to an extent to at least identify how many trees and how much is the tree cover in Bangalore. It is being taken as a benchmark or reference data, which the department has taken up counting the trees due to the judicial pressure as well, which is happening in the state today. And we also support the governance in terms of claim support for the crop insurance claim to tell whether the crop is there or not. But this was been done till 3 years before. In the recent times in Karnataka, we, as I was telling, we had a crop survey project. Through the crop survey project, we use the the crop insurance claims are being settled only through the crop survey, not from remote sensing at this point of time. But still, remote sensing is being used as a support to validate what has happened in the ground. Is it been what our statements or the claims or the decisions taken by the government is true, or we are not making any large mistakes? To that extent, still we are using remote sensing, but every farmer is been validated through a workflow mechanism, which is integrated with the spatial data with the and the Boomi systems, and we have a fruit system. So to come into the closure of this, so the legal support is, we do very closely work with the judiciary team changes as per the notifications given elsewhere at that point of time in 2015, what is what, and 2000, how when before the notifying a particular layout, how it was created. So that we are continuously having a series of satellite images, we giving a complete support for judiciary on a case-to-case basis, which is a regular operational activities. And today we are also taking up a drive to identify the encroachments in terms of an area, along with the legal records, whether for every tanks in Karnataka with a 30-meter buffer zone as per the regulations in the government. So this is how we are doing the innovations and research areas. Today, what we are doing is supporting in terms of doing a smart sampling for crop cutting experiments, lantana mapping, which for the forest fire. This is a forest fire to identify the lantana mappings using the Sentinel-2 satellite data. And we also do the automated tree count for sandalwoods using the drone data on a case-to-case. Plantation wise, we have done this activity. So this is the count wise, instead of counting the drone for capturing, to tell how much is the biomass of that area in that plantation, forest plantation. We are also getting into an automated urban classifications, because this is the next step which are moving towards making an identification of the change in land use. That means the DC conversion, the legal which is happening from an agricultural to non-agricultural land by the district administrations, which is going to be validated going forward only through an automated process. Right now it's an R&D stage, which we are taking it, and maybe hopefully in the next year we should be able to. And all this data is loaded and being shared across the departments and to the public through Karnataka GIS platform, which is an unified platform wherein all this data can be downloaded. We have more than 500 plus layers and 10 terabytes of space data, and available for free access to the public and also to the department. Department have the ownership of accessing the data. Public has an ownership of accessing the data for information content. And we have the virtual 3D stereo for the entire state of stereo satellite data we have, and we can literally take you to a virtual tour for the state. With this, I would like to thank for giving this opportunity, and also to summarize that we use in Karnataka, we use remote sensing for effective decision making. Using coupled with the KGIS, it has become made many of the, and common citizens are empowered today to use this technology. Every citizen in Karnataka, I could say at least 80% of the citizens in Karnataka, that's the word is like a mantra. We can, in a palm tap, everyone can identify what is the owner, who is the owner of the land, and what is the land category. Is there any court case happening? Is there any land acquisition proceedings happening? Everything on their palm tap, they can, on a palm, they can, fingertips, they can get it. And the resurvey process, which has been initiated, every surveyor in Karnataka today is talking about, okay, I'm using a car's data. Where is the rover? Is it 2 centimeter has come? I'm getting only 10 centimeter. So this is how the government system has started. And just 3 days before, government of Karnataka has initiated an activity of doing a subdivision of the land by the citizens themselves, not to come to the government. So this is also an initiative which is being taken with the technology as a backbone, KSRSAC as a support to the department. So we are going ahead, and thank you for giving this opportunity. And I can take up the questions anytime later or now also. Thank you.